Well, hello good people and welcome back to the channel. Tonight, I'll be sharing my review for Married at First Sight Season 15, Episode 4. Now, over the course of this video, it'll be my goal to inform those who haven't seen the episode yet whether they should bother checking it out or whether they should avoid it altogether. I'll also be sharing my thoughts on the most important happenings that occur throughout the episode from one man's perspective, and I'll round things out by giving the episode a rating from 1 to 10. So without any further delay, let's jump into this review. Here is the episode breakdown. The episode runtime is a little over 2 hours long, and in this episode, we finally get to see Morgan and Binh's wedding, but that's saved to the last part of the episode. Before their wedding, we get to see the rest of the couples as they head to their hotel rooms after their weddings. We get to see their first day waking up together, and we get to see them meeting their spouse's family for the first powwow. After the first hour mark, we learn that the remaining 4 couples will be going to Mexico for their honeymoon, and we even get to see them depart from San Diego and arrive at the resort for their honeymoon. Now, a lot of the honeymoon portion that was shown for this episode was somewhat filler, but after all that transpired in this episode, if I have to make a recommendation to the folks who haven't watched it yet, then I would say check it out, because there was some much needed character development that happened in these 2 hours. But first, let's talk about the scenes featuring Mitch and Krysten. Their first scene picks up with them arriving at the hotel room. We see that Krysten is excited and overwhelmed after having just married a stranger, while Mitch seems depressed and overwhelmed about all that just happened. We learn that earlier in the day, Mitch told Krysten that he would like to see her more natural, and in my opinion, Mitch was somewhat out of pocket for saying that to Krysten without knowing anything about her or how she might respond to how he feels about her looks. Now, I personally know a ton of women who would have a negative reaction to what Mitch said to Krysten, but Krysten seemed to have taken it in stride. But when Krysten changes her clothes and takes off her makeup, Mitch begins to warm up to her. After a night of much needed rest, they wake up to eat breakfast, and I must say that this season's breakfast items look 10 times more appetizing than what the cast members were served on last season's episodes for breakfast. Later on in the day, Mitch meets with Krysten's family, and right off the bat, he is asked about his intentions with Krysten's and about his relationship history. Mitch seemingly gives good answers, and it was nice to see him take some accountability for his part in why his past relationships didn't work. But for right now, it seems like Mitch has won over Krysten's family. When Krysten meets up with Mitch's family, they brief her on Mitch's level of honesty and how he can be a jerk sometimes. Overall, Mitch's family seemed pleased with Krysten, but later on when the honeymoon care packages arrived for Krysten and Mitch, I could already see that Mitch is starting to annoy Krysten with his antics. After seeing their scenes, I can still comfortably say that I have no hope that they'll make it to the end of the season. Now let's move on to Miguel and Lindy. Their first scene picks up with them arriving at their hotel room after the wedding. While Miguel was laying in the bed and getting ready to go to sleep, Lindy spends over 30 minutes looking for things and trying to get herself situated, which causes a red flag for Miguel. And I can completely understand where Miguel is coming from on this, because Lindy was walking around like a chicken with her head cut off, and Miguel said that he's too blessed to be stressed. But the next day, Miguel and Lindy go to meet each other's friends and family. Miguel talks to Lindy's people, and they inform him that Lindy is quick to take things personally, and that Miguel needs to understand that. The family also asked Miguel about his intentions with Lindy, and I found it a little uncomfortable knowing how invested Lindy's family is into her and Miguel's sex life. It just lets me know that they might not be getting any action of their own behind closed doors. Lindy goes to meet Miguel's people, and Miguel's sister steals the show. First, she talks about her concerns with Lindy and Miguel's incompatible astrological signs. And if there's one thing that I can't stand, it's having a conversation about relationships with an astrological junkie. I don't fully believe in any of that stuff, but if you do, I understand. But Miguel's sister also asks Lindy about her finances, to which she replies that she has student loans. I don't think that either of the concerns that Miguel's sister brought up will be concerning, but I still wonder if Miguel and Lindy would have what it takes to make it past decision day. Now let's move on to Nate and Stacia. Their first scene picks up as they arrive in the room and they're getting ready for bed. The producer asks Nate if he would rather cuddle or have sex with Stacia. And before Nate could answer, I answered for Nate by asking myself, is this a trick question? What man would really rather cuddle with his wife than give her that good old pickle tickle? But what I liked about Stacia and Nate during this episode is their character development, particularly with Nate. During their breakfast scene, we learn that both Nate and Stacia share a similar experience as not feeling accepted by the community, which is something that I could relate to while growing up in the inner city. I like how Stacia asked Nate what she could do to be there for him, because it shows that there's more to her than just being independent and bossy. But I also like the scenes featuring Stacia and Nate meeting each other's family. Nate was able to show his vulnerable side when letting Stacia's family know how much his father meant to him. I also liked how Stacia was able to tell Nate's family about her issues and what she may need to work on before they can really thrive in their marriage. I still question whether Nate and Stacia will work long term, but this episode definitely helped me see both of them in a better light. Next up is Justin and Alexis. We first see them this episode cuddle up in the bed together, and while Justin seems pretty smitten, I believe that Alexis is waiting until their first smash session before she invests any more feelings into what they got going on. It's still pretty clear that Justin is waiting for a mental connection to kick things off with Alexis, but it also seems like Alexis is down for whatever, whenever. But later on in the episode, Alexis goes to meet Justin's people, and I was disappointed that Alexis felt the need to announce Justin's celibacy to his family. I mean, sure, it's nothing to be ashamed about, but it's still a little childish, and after seeing this season's previews for this couple, I am doubting that they will stay together for the long haul. We also get a scene showing Justin meeting Alexis's people, and I really enjoyed the questions that they asked him, which were, how does he respond when angry, and how does he plan to advocate for himself when he needs something? I think these questions are important because from what I've seen thus far, Justin is not emotionally ready for a show like this, and it doesn't appear that Alexis is emotionally available for Justin, at least not early on in the game. But we shall see how this couple does in the upcoming episodes. And finally, let's talk about Morgan and Binh. Binh tests negative for COVID, and the two finally have their wedding. Sadly for this episode, we only get to see the lead up to Morgan and Binh's wedding, as well as the actual ceremony, which is a huge red flag in my opinion, because it makes me wonder if Morgan and Binh will have a chance to hang out with the other couples for the honeymoon. But Morgan and Binh's wedding ceremony is pretty awkward to say the least, and this is because they're both pretty nervous. When Binh first meets Morgan, he tries to shake her hand, but this is when Morgan takes control of the ceremony and she sets the tone for the wedding. It seems like Morgan has a very strong personality, and Binh will need to learn how to find his voice with her, or she will run all over him, plain and simple. But on a scale of 1 to 10, I'll give this episode a 4. It was filled with some amazing character development, but it also had a ton of filler, and in my opinion, at least 30 minutes of this episode could have been trimmed and it would have had no negative impact on things. But this marks the end of my review. Now, if you're new to my channel, if you like my review, and you want to support my platform, then feel free to hit that subscribe button. I'm less than 70 subs away from my year-end goal, and every form of support helps. Furthermore, if you have any comments related to my review or the episode, feel free to leave them below in the comment section, and I'll be sure to reply to everybody. Until next time, stay tuned and stay safe. Peace.